I've got Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality right
Okay,
there.
here's what's weird. I literally just purchased that 2 days ago.
Oh,
No joke.
weird. And
No
that's
joke.
he's Kobe's works with me. He's always nearby.
You are now entering preFORM. Prepare to perform. A podcast created to explore the inner workings of high-profile performers. Conversations reveal what separates them from the average human. Buckle up. Kate Eckman is the author of the Full Spirit Workout, a 10-step system to shed your self-doubt, strengthen your spiritual core, and create a fun and fulfilling life. She is a broadcast journalist and TV personality who brings her expertise in communications, performance, and mindfulness to her consulting practice designed for business leaders and professional athletes. Kate earned her communications degree as an academic All-American from Penn State University and studied broadcast journalism as a graduate student at Northwestern University. Passionate about mindfulness practices for both brain and body health, she is also a meditation teacher and course creator for Insight Timer, the world's #1 ranked free meditation app. Visit Kate online at thefullspiritworkout.com. Without further delay, here's my conversation with author and creator Kate Eckman. All right, Kate, thank you so much for joining me today on preFORM. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you have a ton of experience, and just to give the listeners a little perspective here, you have been a White House correspondent, which I find that awesome, a model, a host on television, a reporter. You have executive leadership coaching experience. You've done some authorship, which we're going to get into in just a little bit. You have a lot going on, and there's a lot to unravel. And I know we only have 30 to 45 minutes here, but let's see what we can get into and what separates you from other humans. So, where did this all start, being Kate Eckman?
Well, my whole life was athletics, which I feel you and I have in common. I started competitive swimming when I was just 6 years old and swam competitively for 17 years, all the way through college at Penn State, wanted to make the Olympics, tried out,
Mhm.
didn't make it. Um, and that's a whole other story, but you know, because people are like, "Oh, you were this elite athlete, you reached this level." But part of something that I had to overcome was this feeling of never being good enough, and you can even reach high levels of success, but if you don't feel successful on the inside, it's just, or when we place our worth outside of ourselves, we can never have enough or be enough. So that's been a common theme and pattern in my life that I've had to overcome and work through. But yeah, so just having an athletic background, I knew how hard I had to train my physical muscles to compete at such a high level. And moving through my life, just dealing with what we all deal with, emotional gravity, right? Depression, fear, anxiety, stress, global pandemic, judgment, overwhelm, anything that weighs us down. I wanted to develop something for my attitudinal muscles, for my mental,
Hmm.
emotional, physical, or spiritual muscles to deal with all of that emotional gravity. And so that's just been my mission, I think, for the past 6, 7 years, going through trauma, have suffering loss of a loved one, a lot of things that we all deal with, and I don't think have the proper tools to navigate effectively. I feel most people use tools like anti-tools, I should say, like alcohol, drugs, shopping, sex, whatever it is, to try to fill themselves up. And I don't know if you've experienced or your listeners have experienced, but I've experienced that none of that stuff really fills you up. It really is an inside job.
Well, let me ask you a little bit about the inside job from your perspective. What does it feel like to be Kate Eckman in 2021?
It feels really good because I have worked my butt off and I spent this past year writing, editing my book, all the multiple edits with the publisher and putting it all together. And I just finished recording my audiobook 2 days ago. And
Cool.
that was a huge task. And, now getting into all the publicity and marketing and getting new speeches together with my speaking coach to go present to different teams and organizations. And it is so much going on, and then my coaching clients and paying the bills and all of the things that I do. It can feel like a three-ring circus. I feel like I kind of thrive in that. That said, I have become extremely mindful to take downtime, even if it's just 20 minutes in between calls, meetings, or appointments. To yesterday, just I had 3 hours more of work to do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's such a beautiful day. The next 3 days are going to be cold, crappy weather. My cousin's children are in town. Auntie Kate, come hang out. So just, putting work aside and going and being fully present with my loved ones and having a good meal and being outside. And I think the balance is so important, and people pay a lot of lip service to that, but don't even really know how to do that because it's challenging to set boundaries. We set boundaries with ourselves and others. People don't like it. We're worried we're going to disappoint people. And if I've learned anything this past year, it is to put my well-being first, not because it's some fun luxury or cute thing to post about on Instagram, but because my whole world is going to suffer when I'm not caring for myself.
hmm That's very well said. And something I heard the other day from a speaker was she has become very, very good at saying no. No is a noun, a verb, and an adjective. And I wanted to ask you about that because you've been through so many different experiences in your career. And from an outside perspective, when you look at that bio, it's overwhelming just as the reader, just as the host to read through that. And I think to myself, the importance of mindfulness, of course, and the importance of present moment awareness and things that you now incorporate in your career to maintain yourself, to ensure that you have sustainability and longevity. But was it always that way for you? Was there a point where you felt yourself maybe a little burned out, a little stretched too thin and not willing to say no like you have been lately?
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that because even working with my speaking coach yesterday, we were both kind of saying everything we had going on. And I listed everything I did just in the past 12 months, not as a way to look at me or something, but just breaking it down because I sit here and I always think I could be doing more. And when I listed everything I did in the last 12 months alone during a global pandemic, I like what you said, it was overwhelming. It was exhausting. I thought that is insane. And so it let myself off the hook. And that's why it's like, after this interview, I will probably take a nap for an hour or something,
Love it.
and just give myself, or I call it my sit and stare time, and stare out the window. And that is a tool that I've developed this past year. Is I sit and stare because there's just been a lot to process. One of my favorite quotes ever from Blaise Pascal says, all of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. And I think, yes. And I also think that is a skill I have developed. I am a pro at sitting quietly in a room alone, and it has given me so many benefits. I can achieve more in less time. I feel better. I'm not worried about what other people think like I used to be. I think there's this notion that we think success and achievement mean you're the hamster on the wheel, sweating and no days off, that hashtag no days off, just that hustle culture that I no longer subscribe to, and having that quality of life. But yes, I think I am a testament. I feel like a cat. And when I do interviews and they read the bio, I feel like the cat with 9 lives. But I think it's such a testament, especially to young people. And when I speak to college students or 50-year-olds, it doesn't matter, but you don't have to decide today and do that thing the rest of your life. You can change your mind, whether it's even about a political belief or what you want out of a relationship, a career. You can change your mind, and you probably should be changing your mind because hopefully you are transforming and expanding and growing. And as you grow and evolve, your values perhaps will change, or your interests will change. And so just, I think my life, even being with two 16-year-old girls and a 12-year-old girl last night, that's what they said, Auntie Kate, it's just good to see you that you don't have to get married at a certain age. You don't have to have kids. You don't have to live in the same city your whole life. You don't have to do it that way. People think we have to do it. So if nothing else, I love to give the option of freedom to people
Mhm.
who hear my story.
Yeah, and I think to highlight the importance of evolution, right? I mean, it's one of the reasons that we've, as an organism, have survived so long is because we've been able to adapt when there is a stressor in our place. So I want to unpack that a little bit more before we jump into authorship and the exciting book that's coming out on April 27th. Evolution for you in your career. At what point did you recognize working for people is great and having that autonomy is great, but maybe I should do something on my own? So what was that transition like? I know you have an executive leadership coaching platform where it's your show and you're doing what you need to be doing. No one's really telling you what to do. How does that autonomy different than what it was like being behind a microphone or behind a camera where everyone's telling you what to say through an earpiece?
Well, luckily no one was telling me what to say for the most part. And
That's
I
good.
I wrote my own stuff because then
Okay.
it's believable. And so I think there is, thank you for even saying that. I think there is a misconception, or people say that I have some script or some fancy producer, someone is telling me what to say. But I, just like with this book, I pride myself on writing what I'm going to say. And
Awesome.
I think that's with TV. People think it's so glamorous. They see you on TV and it's anything but glamorous. And really, as a journalist or reporter, even host, being on TV is kind of the afterthought of the job. It's all that prep
Mm,
work that goes in. And then, yes, you need to deliver it. You need to present an authoritative, professional way. But really, it's all the behind the scenes and doing all the work to be able to present in a way where you think we just make it look easy, as my
yeah,
brother
kinda,
says.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a doctor. He recently was on the local news and he says, gosh, speaking on camera is really a skill. And I'm like, yeah, thanks for acknowledging that, like 20 minutes or 20 years into my career. Cause people think we just show up but as a doctor, I don't think that he just shows up and treats
Sure,
people.
yeah,
I know what he's
preparation.
been through. So
Yeah.
there is a lot of, it is interesting. It's interesting like that. But I think, it all goes back to your values. And that's what I work with my clients a lot on, really aligning their goals with their values and priorities. And my number one value is freedom. So for me, I don't feel free when I'm in a corporate office 8 to 12 hours a day working for somebody else's dream or somebody else's plan or program. And it's
Mm,
great. You might have the stable paycheck, and some people want that. For me, I want to be able, if I work a 12-hour day, great, but I want to be able to meet you for a 4-hour lunch on Tuesday or whatever it is, and just be able to kind of set my own agenda and just have that freedom. And I think being an entrepreneur is awesome. And it's also like being a parent. It never ends. There's always
well
something to
said.
be done. There's no like, I don't feel like being a parent today, or I don't feel like running my business today. You have to keep it going. So I do like that freedom. But I think the more that we can align with our values, and first getting clear on what you even value. Some people, they'll tell me their goals. I'll walk them through my methodology and my system. And when I say, what's a one word value to align with this goal, a lot of people have a hard time with that. Or
Wow.
I guess it makes them think, which I like. That's my goal, is to make all my clients think deeper. But I think getting clear on your values and really who you are, not who you present to the world in your pretty package, but who you are underneath all the labels and titles. And that's what my work is really about, just really getting to the core of who you are. It's uncomfortable, it can be scary, painful, but then also discovering what you really want, not what you want, but what you really want. And I say really in italics as the writer. And I ask a lot of very successful people, and they have a hard time answering that as well, which is interesting and a bit sad.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking if you were to ask me that, what would be one of my core values? I love freedom just because I'm a firm believer in autonomy and having that flexibility in scheduling. I think within that, I'd take it a step further. Freedom of exploration, right? The ability to, I'm not talking about hop on a plane and go across the ocean. I'm talking about exploration, like you said, sit and stare, right? Having the ability or even the awareness to be comfortable, feeling uncomfortable, allowing whatever is going on upstairs to happen and to sit back and to watch and to listen and to feel, literally feel how those thoughts are manifested within our body. The cool thing about all of that is you have the ability now to take those thoughts that have gone through your body and out through your hands into a book. And it's, as an aside, it's totally a life goal for me to get a book out there one of these days. I promise you it'll happen sooner or later.
Yay! Oh, good.
But
Well, you have your little book guide here for you to tell you
I will take you up on that for sure.
to give you
100%.
the unfiltered, keep it real. Here's what really happens behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Just like in television, it looks glamorous, but you never know. So let's talk a lot bit about your book coming out. The Full Spirit Workout, hitting stores, hitting shelves, hitting the internet on April 27th, 2021. The smile on your face is ear to ear. I know you're super stoked. I know it's been a huge journey, a lot of hard work involved with the revisions and the drafts. But let's talk a little bit about the origin of this book. My guess is it's, based on what we said at the outset, all these things that you've encountered in your life. But really, what was that day or moment that you said to yourself, I'm going to write a book on this, and this is how I'm going to do it?
Wow, I mean, it was quite a process and evolution. I had been writing articles for several publications for years, and so it was good. I would get a lot of feedback and hear from people all over the world, thank you for writing this story. Because of you, I did this. Or I would get a lot of comments like, I didn't think someone like you would go through something like that, which what
Wow.
does that even mean? But it just showed me more and more that on the days when it was hard for me to be that raw and vulnerable and share really personal things that even my closest friends and family members didn't know about, and share it with the world and with strangers. But to get even just one email that someone's like, I was able to get off antidepressants because of your article. I was able to, all these tremendous kind of life altering and changing things. It became so much bigger than me. And then it was no longer about some personal goal. A book is certainly, for me, it never been a vanity project, because they're not money makers. They're, unless you're a huge celebrity. It is so much work. It is like being a parent. It is
Mm,
a full commitment, or a face tattoo. I mean, there's no going back, especially when you sign a publishing deal, and it will push you and expand you to your limits in every way. So I think for me, it was just a natural next step. It also was just a divine assignment that I got from my angels, two men who I was very close to, who died tragically. And it was kind of them. They're always communicating with me through signs. I just always feel them with me. And it was to offer people more hope in a very uncertain, chaotic, stressful, really sick world right now. I hate to
mm.
say that about our world, but it is sick, whether you choose to believe that or not. And also a celebration of life. These two men died by suicide, and they didn't have to go that way. I don't think they had the tools. They were men who were taught from a young age to not show your emotion, to pretend you have it all together, that stiff upper lip. And I think that's so unhealthy. So I just, I never thought I'd grow up and speak openly about suicide and mental health and these things, but I've taken it on that this is part of my life's journey, and it's my duty to speak openly about it and give a face to it, and give people the tools and give people the hope and inspiration to not just feel okay, but to feel magnificent, and to remind people how powerful they are, and that you have these tools. You don't have to be a multimillionaire to access them. We all have them. They're for free. You just have to get practice at listening and download that divine wisdom that's always available to you when you are not distracted and you aren't stressed out, and when you are taking that time to really listen. So this workout isn't about, the gritting your teeth and sweating to death at the gym and making it happen to get this and be that. It's more about stillness and going within and becoming the person who naturally attracts all that you desire. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And I don't think I have taken a full inhale throughout that explanation, Kate. I mean, that we can talk offline for sure
Yeah,
about
for sure.
some in-depths. Um, yeah, that's That is impactful, and the book isn't even out yet, right? I mean, that is from the author's mouth, which is incredible. Walk us a little bit more, and this is me just being completely selfish with your time right now, but can you walk us a little bit more through the book itself, but more or less the importance of the book to you and to others that have a chance and opportunity to read it?
I think we are I'm getting emotional because I'm conscious, I'm awake.
Mhm. That's
I
just
see
energy and motion. You let that roll.
I see very clearly what's going on in the world.
Mm,
And it's sad. And I see how much people are struggling. And I see it clearly because I've been that person and I do not pretend that I don't have bad days because I do. And I think that's what a woman, Courtney Carver, another author, she wrote the foreword to my book and she said, Kate meets you where you are. And I
mhm.
do. And
Wow.
Kate speaks to you as someone who's like, yep, I've been there, as opposed to, here's my research. And this book is packed with research. I worked really, really hard on it. But so much of it is just speaking from someone who has been there and the empathy and someone who knows what it's like to feel hopeless and in a really dark place. And oftentimes, as you know, it's not because of anything we've done or poor choices. It's simply because life can be really challenging. It's part of the human experience. And so rather than numbing the human experience or taking a pill or whatever it is that everyone has their own way of numbing out, I think it's so important to, instead of even acting out, is to act in and to go within. And it sounds so simple, not easy, but simple. It's counterintuitive because we live in a culture that, while it bombards you with messages of how you're not good enough and how you don't add up and you need a million things to even be worthy of anything, um, it doesn't give you the practical or proper tools to do that. And so we think that we are also lacking and need all these things, but when you can just go in and develop these muscles. And I think for me, what's so exciting about this book and this work is that I'm the proof and my clients are the proof, and it works. It's like going to the gym. You can hire the best personal trainer in the world, but that trainer cannot do your push-ups or sit-ups for you. That's
Right.
on you.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to show up, and you have to be willing to not just stand at the gym in your cute outfit, but actually do the I see you in a cute outfit or something because you're in your cute pink shirt. You're in, I'm like, love it. I'm like, so it's not enough to wear your like pink Nike shirt and look good at the gym. You have to do you have to
You gotta
do,
sweat.
you got to sweat and do your reps, but the results are so worth it because I ask you, what kind of life do you want to live?
Mhm.
And then it becomes so clear. And so I just ask people to, we start out in chapter one, even, or step one, stretching your comfort zone. People are familiar with that terminology. And then we move into a lot of things that people have never heard of, whether it's boost your mental metabolism, step up your spiritual stamina, embrace your endorphins, rock the freedom freestyle, just whole new concepts that are fun. I made it fun, of course, but we're really getting in there, and we're opening ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences for ourselves.
Listen, if I'm the only one on preform that is pumped to read this book, I don't care. I mean, I'm like literally looking into a mirror right now, and this is gonna be such an incredible work of art. I don't even really see this as a book. I really think this is a work of art, and this is a true expression of all of your experience, all of the things that you've gone through personally with others, with yourself, and things that you potentially haven't even encountered yet, right? You're kind of like writing into the future, which is incredible. And reading this piece of work, this piece of art 10 years from now, imagine where you'll be. Imagine that question earlier I had for you. What does it feel like to be Kate? Physically, cognitively, emotionally, spiritually? It's I'm so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. And I'm so pumped for other people, myself included, to read this piece. I think it's going to be so impactful. I know it's going to be so impactful for others. I'm literally perspirating right now. My core temp is up, and I mean, and that's just a sign of engagement, being in this moment and really soaking in all of the things that you're willing to share. And full disclosure for my audience, I've never shaken your hand before. And yet the universe has a way about itself, right? Things
One
align.
day,
Yeah,
one
oh, for
day.
sure,
And I
for
want a
sure.
hug. I don't want a handshake. I want a hug.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna tell you earlier, I need to give you a hug. It's just an amazing it's not random, none of this is random, and I think it's so cool. It's just hard to even excuse me, it's hard to even put it into words, to even describe what I'm feeling as the host, what you're feeling as the guest, but potentially even what the audience will be feeling. I mean, this isn't something we've drafted up. This isn't something that all these lights and cameras and action is, this is just raw, uncut, live and direct. And I don't know what my point to this is, Kate, other than I really appreciate I really appreciate your willingness. I mean, there's so much courage in that for you to just open up and to be vulnerable and to be uncomfortable.
Thank you. I think maybe your temperature's up and it's all of that because sadly, it's almost foreign for people to just speak their truth so candidly and not be worried about how they look or what others think. But it's just like, this is where I am and who I am in this moment. And here it is. And then, yeah, I kind of get caught up too, where I don't even know what I'm probably saying like crazy things or whatever. And I'm not delivering my perfect presentation. No such thing, by the way. But I think
Right.
just being raw and vulnerable, and I wish more people could be real and honest and truthful about their struggles, and knowing that there's no shame in that. And as soon as you have to release it from your body, and you have to just speak it into existence, because then you can release it, and then it's like, all right, now what am I going to do about it? And partnering with a accountability friend, coach, therapist, whatever that looks or feels like for you, and just being committed to the truth. And I think there's been such an assault on the truth. That conversation can go so many directions, but there has been an assault on the truth, especially recently in our society. And I had someone recently say to me, and at first it sounded like such an insult, but I didn't care. But he said, I bet you scare people. And I thought, gosh, do I look scary? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, because you're so honest.
Mm,
I thought, and maybe that even plays into the, I didn't think someone like you would experience like that. Cause whatever that means, someone like me, where you just pretend to have it all together. And, I'm speaking whether you're a CEO, you're a mom, you're a struggling artist, you're a teen, you're in your 70s. I just think that everyone is struggling in some way, and that's okay. And then just really working on the tools to get out of that place and have fun with it, and know that it's part of your journey, and it's an adventure, and it's exploration, and it's fun. Yeah, I want to just, I've always worked to erase the stigma around suicide. I want to erase the stigma around truth telling, and just erase the stigma around it has to be hard and we all have to struggle and be exhausted and miserable all the time.
mm. As you mentioned earlier, part of the human experience is feeling uncomfortable, going through those struggles, and learning that you already have the tools, right? One of my last questions for you, because I honestly just want to stop recording so you and I can have a conversation. Whatever. I don't care about the listeners right now. One of my last questions is, why is it so important for people to feel uncomfortable in a world that has conditioned us to fear failure and success or death? Why is it so important to practice daily investing yourselves in the sensations of feeling uncomfortable?
Yeah, because that's the juicy part. That's where the motivation for change happens. That's where personal growth and development happens, and you are able to transform your life when you are super uncomfortable, because it's almost that sink or swim, and none of us want to sink. And so we don't want to get to that point where we're so uncomfortable, or you have to hit rock bottom, or you have to have these massive wake up calls. I had to have two massive wake up calls to really get it together in terms of the way I was choosing to live my life and how I felt about myself. But it's so good to be uncomfortable because you get to choose who you really want to be in that moment, and you just get to discover new parts about yourself that you didn't even know existed. So it's actually such a confidence builder because you think, I didn't even know I would be able to navigate through something like this. I can't believe I survived through this or thrived through this. So it boosts confidence. And then when you're met with another challenge, as a question I always say to clients is, what made you successful in the past? So now you have this history and you think, oh, I did these three things, or I cultivated these characteristics. It made me successful in the past. So, continuing to leverage those strengths and experiences to take you to new heights of inner strength, which leads to outer success.
Kate, you are an absolute joy to the world. I could have a 4-hour episode with you, but selfishly, I'm gonna press stop on this record. I do want to thank you for joining preFORM and your willingness to be so vulnerable and be so open to sharing the things that you've gone through in order to help others that have gone through those things or unbeknownst to them will go through some of those experiences. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate your time and your space and your mind and your heart. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Are you ready to optimize? preFORM Humans is the evidence-based approach to optimal performance, health, and well-being. The platform collaborates globally with a variety of high-profile performers, corporate executives, elite athletes, first responders, and military personnel. preFORM Humans offers private consultation and live webinars designed for individuals, small groups, and large audiences. Visit preFORMhumans.com for more information.